Good afternoon.
It's now 5 o'clock, or actually 5:01, Bob. You're,
Duly noted.
noted. And so we'll open the July 9th meeting of the Harwich Affordable Housing Trust. We have a quorum. We're missing right now Julie, and I don't know, she hasn't contacted me, so we'll start, and hopefully she'll join us. I understand Brianna's had I guess an event's way to say it, won't be able to make our meetings tonight, so it'll be the four of us. I did schedule an executive session, and after some discussion with Joe, I've decided to cancel the executive session, and we'll go directly into our agenda. And the agenda, the first item on the agenda is the minutes. Are there comments? Questions, if people have a chance to review?
I'll move to approve and also have some suggested revisions.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
And we'll open for discussion then, Bob, and we'll...
On the first page, also participating Joseph Powers, Town Administrator, and I think we should acknowledge that Joe is also an ex officio member of the trust.
Agreed. You okay with that, Joe? You can't argue that. That's your official title.
Joe, please say something, please.
I was being nice.
On item number 3, under old business, we approved the April 2nd minutes, not the April 12th minutes. That had been a typo in the agenda.
Right, okay.
On page 2, first paragraph, the second sentence, or third sentence, reads that it had been requested that 7 copies be submitted each bid plus the original. The ordinal remains. It's not supposed to be ordinal. I think it's supposed to be original.
Original, yes.
Okay. On the 4th page, 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs down, Mr. Powers responded that the provider, the trust, and the town would be served notice as well. The trust is covered under the town's errors and omissions, as well as the town's general umbrella policies on such lawsuits. Through counsel, it reads they can have the town and trust removed. I don't believe that that's accurately stated. I think what was said was they would work to have the town and the trust removed. Thank you.
Okay.
On the second to the last paragraph, Mr. Lowney's talking about local preference, and I just think that we should have that in parentheses because that's a specific concept, and that's why it's talked about here.
Okay.
So in both
Okay.
references. On the 5th page, Mr. Ballantyne commented that they are, this is the second to the last paragraph, commented that they are, as a committee, lost on the Sisson Road property, including fundamental issues. I don't think that's what you said.
I don't remember that, no. What was...
I don't think that you would say we're lost.
No.
Bad form for a leader.
Bad form, yes. Maybe, well, okay.
What do you think you said?
I don't recall at this point. No. Just delete that sentence.
How about we're not clear?
Yeah.
As a committee, we're not clear about fundamental issues.
Okay.
Okay. And then on the last page, the last paragraph, Mr. Ballantyne asked that Mr. Powers clarify with counsel, and in this case, counsel should be spelled C-O-U-N-S-E-L as
Okay.
its legal counsel.
Right.
And the same for the paragraph, the immediate paragraph before that.
Okay.
And the item number F, letter F, was tabled to a future meeting.
Okay.
So with those modifications, corrections, I would move to approve.
Okay, now we have, any other comments, questions? Thank you, Bob, for the
Yep.
details.
Bob.
Very, very much appreciated. With that, we have motion second, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, Julie?
How are you? Hi, Julie.
Hey, welcome back.
Oh, my God.
Traffic?
We, Moving on, next to the agenda is request for proposals, for 456 Queen Anne Road. We did with, under the auspices of Joe and Megan, form a review team. We had our second meeting this morning and reviewed. We had three, as you recall, we had three submittals. We reviewed the three, and we came to a unanimous decision on our preference as a review. It looked very good, and so at this point, Megan was our leader of that, going back to Joe Powers. And the next step in the process is they've reviewed for the fulfillment of the regulatory requirements. And it now comes back to us. So we can discuss it in the executive session and decide, obviously we don't have to as a committee follow our recommendations, but we hope we do, obviously, at this point. But so our mission tonight is to schedule when we can meet in the executive session to make the decision and move ahead. And I did even bring my calendar. As a start, I'm tied up from this Thursday through the 16th. Although maybe by the 16th I have grandkids coming, so I may want to come during the executive meeting. At this point, I'm going to make family first until I can. But anytime, and I think. And Joe will make his presentation at that point, executive session. And Joe, I understand your schedule is you're tied up until maybe that week?
Correct. I have greater availability starting the week of the 22nd of July.
So the 22nd of July, works. Does that sometime that week okay?
Mm-hmm.
I certainly don't want to wait until our next scheduled meeting. We want to move ahead on this, so.
Mm-hmm.
The 23rd? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. The 23rd, if that works. Actually, the 22nd or 24th works a little better for me.
This is executive session?
Yes.
So during the day or at 5 o'clock?
We can do it anytime. We're not stuck till 5. It's our choice. Is there?
Yeah, I can't do Monday, the 22nd, because we have our meeting, but I could do the 24th.
24th?
Yeah, that
That's-
looks good for me.
That's more comfortable for me. I have a 4 o'clock Board of Directors of Otter Cape Health at 4, so. Can we do the 24th at, stick with 5?
I will not be able to be here.
When would you be able, Bob?
I wouldn't be able to be here until the week after. Sorry.
Is there another time on the 22nd? What time is your meeting, Julie?
Our meeting is, depending on if we have executive, it would be at either 5 or 5:30. Otherwise, it's at 6,
Okay.
but
Plus she works.
I work, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless I hit the lottery between now and then.
Okay.
What about
Go ahead, Bob.
Tuesday, the 30th?
We do it then?
Tuesday and-
Bob, Julie?
We have an LCP meeting on the 30th.
That's in the evening. That's the stakeholder presentation.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
time are you thinking?
5 again, is because that works for you, right?
All right,
Are we
so,
6 o'clock on that? Yeah.
yeah, the meeting's at 6, so, okay, so let me just put that in now.
7:30 at 5 PM?
Does that work, okay?
Yeah.
Julie?
Yep.
Bob?
Yep,
Yes.
Claudia?
I think so, yep.
Amy,
5 on
okay.
the 30th, yeah.
So we'll do 5 PM for executive session, and I think at that point, we'll give you the material, so you can review that before the meeting, or at least at the meeting, and Joe will go through it.
So if I may, Mr. Chairman, my understanding of the next step, and let me first thank everyone that was on the review committee with the Assistant Town Administrator. So in addition to Megan, your chair, Larry Ballantyne, was present. I know Mr. Lowney provided input, although he couldn't be present. Christine Flynn, our Director of Planning and Community Development, Our dear friend Mary Anderson returned, and our dear friend Joe McParland was also involved. I think I got everybody?
Yep.
And I apologize, of course, our housing advocate, Brianna Powell, was part of that. So, as you know, Larry, they went through their reviews, they're refining everything. They will send me a memo as Chief Procurement Officer. I'll review all that and then make my recommendations to you on next steps and recommended approver, or approved party, if I should say it correctly.
Yeah.
And that's the sum of what would be an executive session. I would probably be inclined to only provide the materials of the recommended proposer, because if there's any challenges or anything else you want it to be, that you did not review anything, that was what the selection committee did today. Rather, you're hearing who the highest rater on responsive and responsibility was.
Thank you, Joe. And I'll work with Megan to get those copies out before the meeting so they can be reviewed. And I say work with Megan because they're large enough that she had a hard time emailing them before. So it may be that you'll have to stop by the town office here and pick up a hard copy.
Okay.
To get that. But I will say this, we were very pleased with the 3 submittals we received. They're very comprehensive and they look good. Okay, so that's that, we'll move ahead. Moving to the market appraisal, the status of that, Bob, you,
Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we table this request for a quote for a market appraisal for the time being.
and bring it back next meeting, or,
Bring
later?
it back when it's the right time,
and define right time for me,
within the next 6 months.
okay? I'll, you've been driving this, so Bob, I'll leave it in your hands to get back to us when you
Thank you.
feel that, let me know, and we'll put it back on the agenda,
Okay.
all right? Next on the item is request for proposal for rental assistance program, and Claudia, I'm going to turn it to you because you and Brianna's done all the heavy lifting on this. Very much appreciate it.
So basically, when we met last time, we agreed on what the changes were. I sent those to you all, and Brianna. The yellows were the changes that we all agreed to, and the teal were town contact information that I didn't have. So Brianna said she's going to get with Megan, and Megan will fill in everything that's in teal. Again, it's mainly who's the point of contact for the town. Brianna's going to put herself in as the contact for us, but made sure that she'll contact Larry anytime something comes in. And then she's also going to check with Megan on the timeline for accepting submittals, so she'll take her recommendation. And I think that's it. I think from our standpoint, we're done. We just need those final changes.
Okay. And let me, Claudia, just pick up on that a bit, because we did have a in-depth discussion at our last meeting. And as I recall, we did ask for some clarifications I think you already added to the document. But I just wanted to, the amount, one was to change the amount the renter could use from 80 to 100% eligibility to keep in line with CPC. And the other was, we also asked that we talked about reviews, from changing that from monthly to semi-annually or quarterly.
Right.
And I think either one of those is fine with me.
I have semi-annually in there, so
We can
That's what
stick
I-
with that? Okay.
that seemed to be fine.
Right.
We had broken out the administrative and case management costs. We wanted that listed separately, so that's in there.
Okay.
I'm just scrolling through. We had the town manager reserves the right. And then in terms of the criteria, we had, that discussion in terms of residency, municipal employees, employee of local businesses, and households with children attending the locality school. And then we had the rent reasonableness was 150% of HUD fair market value. That was to compensate for the current rents that we're seeing for a 4-bedroom the way it was written before, wouldn't cover the current rents that we're seeing, so.
And we decided to leave in the local preference language rather than define. You remember how big discussion on that?
Yep, we
Decided to
just
take
copy and pasted that.
Copy pasted
Yep.
that. Reason I brought that up is I think we're at a place now where we can vote to move ahead on this and turn it over to our procurement officers to put it on the street. Is there any other comments? Bob, you're looking at me,
I'm just thinking the draft team has been doing great work on this.
been doing fantastic, did a lot of work on it.
It's fun, thanks.
Well, not sure I believe that, but thank you.
I sure learned a lot, that's for sure. Talked to a lot of people, so that was great.
Any other comments? If not, Joe, are you okay with where we're going? Because we'll turn it over to you next to get it out on the street. Okay.
Well, first, let me apologize on the record. I gave the thumbs up if you asked me if I was okay. That wasn't seen. What would you like me to cover, Mr. Chairman?
Just so you're okay, we're going to move this in and hand it over to you.
The rental assistance, yeah, so I did have a meeting with Megan and Brianna last week. I think we covered a lot of that.
Yep.
And as I understood it, there was a dollar element where you were talking about the full scope and range of the rental assistance program, but that was different from what we were looking to pay the manager of the program. Am I
We gave a
saying that
figure
right?
for both, that's correct.
Thank you, yep. So that was dictating, I think, the next steps, and if my memory serves correctly, next steps, and it may have already been completed by Brianna, was to put it out for at least 3 respondents.
Right.
So
The
we could
legal
have
counsel
some
has-
action on that coming very quickly.
Yeah.
And I would also just like to add, I concur with the comments. The folks that built that, you gave our team a wonderful document to build off of to send out to the marketplace. And so I thank you and congratulate you on those efforts. Very well-established document, and I think we're expecting to get some great responses in that regard.
Yeah.
Great work.
With that, I would accept a motion to move ahead with the rental assistance program.
Cheers, do you want to do that?
Sure, I'll make a motion to go ahead with the rental, the RFQ?
RFQ or RFQ?
For the rental assistance program with the changes we approved and the changes coming from Megan from contact information.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bob. And I'm really pleased we're moving ahead with this because I didn't want to wait another possible year to go through CPC at this point. And we can get this in the street and then we can, a big element of this is the marketing that you've been working on, to be sure they're advertising it. We'll see how much it's used.
Right.
If it's used, then we'll request more from CPC. If not, we'll say we tried. That's all we can do. With that then, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Other properties, discussion. This is I don't have a exact on this, but in terms of public discussion, Joel, could I ask, Joe, can I ask you, not for detailed discussion, because it's not on the agenda, but just a brief update, maybe you and Julie, on the cell tower revenue and the link to, as I mentioned, it's not on the agenda, so we can bring it back from a full discussion later on if we wish.
Sure, for informational
Cell tower revenue,
purposes.
yes.
I believe you may be aware that the finance director, as we were progressing towards the 2024 annual town meeting and looking at various funding sources, a question had come up about cell tower revenue, because we knew there was an action of the town through town meeting back in 2004. However, the finance director reviewing that with council, it then became aware to the town through council that after that action was taken by the town, there was a statute that was enacted that circumvented that, and the town was not aware of it 20-something years ago. So the select board was advised of this by council and the finance director. The select board, I think, had a vigorous discussion and clarity. We, the town, are looking to correct this, and we may be able to correct it twofold. First, through the special town meeting, if we're still progressing towards one, and in my opinion, we are, in the fall, to correct the structural defects, if you will, but also perhaps find a way to get funds to the trust as was imagined all those years. And that may be through a one-time transaction that hypothetically could be funded, say, through free cash or something like that. So while we discovered that this thing that we thought was in place for all these years was not, I feel fairly confident that we can correct it in short order, certainly before the annual town meeting.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
Oh, it is, because it's on the agenda, so I can bring it back for more full, but Julie?
Yeah, so, no, just to point, to Joe's point on that, we talked about creating an article, because that seems to be the cleanest way to do
Okay.
it. Special legislation, John Giorgio indicated would be, too difficult and may not even pass, and then we could just transfer it annually, but that doesn't make sense if we're trying to document a process, so.
Okay.
But one other item under the agenda, well, it says other properties. I don't know if you've got a chance to talk about it at all before I got here.
I have a,
Oh, okay, you have,
no, I just got a copy this afternoon, and I haven't circulated. You're talking about the first refusal
yes.
document? Go ahead.
So it just came up at our meeting last night, and, unfortunately, we don't always get a decent heads up on these, and hopefully that can change. But we talked about last night, the fact that the individuals couldn't make the meeting, but that we would be interested in seeing this and talk to you, to the trust about it, because I think the price tag was $280,000, and it's be affordable housing.
What is it?
I don't know what you're
So Hetch, the Harwich Ecumenical Council on Housing, they have a property, and when somebody's gonna leave that property and somebody else is gonna come in and buy it, the town gets a right of first refusal.
Oh,
And normally, and as you know, Larry, we usually sign off on those.
Right.
But, and I'll let Joe speak to more in depth about it, but last night we talked about the fact that why don't we consider this rather than just signing off?
Yeah.
So we said that we would talk to you and bring it to you. So obviously it needs an agenda item, but I'm just bringing it up for now.
So the address specifically is 10 Driftwood Circle. And as, if I may, Madam Chair, and member of your trust has indicated, the town was presented this material. I've forwarded all the documentation to your chair for potential consideration by the trust as the select board has asked. I think some relevant facts are, this is a deed-restricted, affordable property. It will always remain as such. However, given the programs that were available several decades ago, there are a number of properties out there that may come on the marketplace where the town always has the right of first refusal. So I think what the chair was getting to is when these were first contemplated as affordable restricted housings, there was no affordable housing trust as it exists today. There was no mechanism or group associated with that. So you do have the means, the method, and all of that potentially, so that as we get these, it may be the standard practice, but I'll defer to the select board, where it may be sent to you first. We will notify the agency, in this case, the Harwich Ecumenical Council for Housing, and tell them that the town is reviewing it, and reviewing it both through the trust and the select board. But the board did direct me to hand it over to your chair today for some consideration. Those folks are coming back to the select board on July 22nd, but it doesn't mean you need to decide by then, and there will still be a broader discussion at the select board level. But it is 10 Driftwood Circle.
Right. Let's do this, because this property has some history that scares me a bit. Because there's been, for all things you know, but I won't go into that. But what I'd like to do is, because we have, as I understand, we have 30 days to respond.
30, technically, I mean, they have notified.
There's a 30-day notice. The town received this late June. We offered to have a discussion on July 8th. They asked us to carry it over to the 22nd. The town would argue that we're not going to lose any rights if they needed to push it off.
Okay.
But we are working within the timeframes that are understood.
Okay. Because it would make sense to me, for me to give give you all this material and, and bring it back on a discussion on our 30th meeting, because we'll have executive, we can move that into another meeting and discuss this more fully on, if that works in your time frame, we could discuss it on the July 30th.
It does, however, I might rely upon the select board meeting on the 22nd to
Right.
formally notify the board, and the town may say that we want to consider this, and therefore we are exercising our right of first refusal for a certain period of time.
Okay? What do you think, Julie? Can you-
Yeah,
is
no,
that
I
a
think
thing
so.
you'll give us
And I think the board-
couple months to look at it?
Yeah, I think so, and I think the board would support that.
Okay, good. We'll follow up with that then. We'll put that on the agenda on the 30th.
Okay.
And I'll either, can you send this to me electronically?
Absolutely, yep.
And
And
I'll,
if you want, I'll take back my hard copy and I'll swap it out with an electronic one.
geez, I don't know, Joe.
Or you'll get both.
I'll get both.
Very good.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I might, this is I think, a good opportunity. I'm concerned that if the trust and the town are both in a position to rely upon the same counsel, that creates a conflict of interest for the town council. And so I'm wondering if we wouldn't be in a better position to have separate counsel be able to give us advice on something of this matter as well as others, because I don't see how there isn't a conflict of interest for KP Law to advise the town and to advise the trust.
May I respond through you, Mr. Chairman?
Please.
So I would not agree with the concept of conflict of interest, per se. It has specific meaning, as I'm sure you know, under various statutes. Because the town has gone through this exercise most recently, 3, perhaps 4 years ago, when there was a discussion and a resulting parcel acquisition. What became clear at that time was that the trust, even though it has its own governing documents and all of that, is still considered, and I believe this is referenced in the Mass Housing Partnership documentation, that the trust is still an adjunct and part of the town. It's why you run your meetings as a public body in the open meeting law. It's why you're bound by the procurement laws. And so under both the charter and the statutes, it is clear that council only is for the select board as the town. So that several years ago, the trust went to the select board and asked for permission to hire special counsel for a transaction. That was granted. So I do not believe, well, I know as administrator, I would not recognize a conflict of interest per se. I would advise the board to not recognize a conflict per se, and they may not. That doesn't mean that you couldn't get your own counsel, but it has to go through select board because of charter and statutory requirements. To further that, I'm always aware that despite the great work or the great volume of work and great work that I do with Labor Council is for the select board. So all councils work for the town is the select board. I wouldn't think that there's a conflict per se with this particular discussion point. The right of first refusal is because the documents over the last several decades have acknowledged that as long as we remain a town, there will be a select board. As long as there's a select board, they're the town. So even though in this instance, the select board has said, we'd like you to look at it, that doesn't prevent the select board from saying that they'll look at it or they don't want to look at it. Long story short, if you were looking for counsel, I would recommend that your chair reach out to the select board chair, and that could be a discussion point at a select board meeting, because that has been the practice that's been affirmed the past 5 years.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Joe, I completely agree that we couldn't do something separately if we felt there was a conflict. Bob, in this case, and that's okay, we can disagree, we can both go back and read the notes. In this case, Bob, I don't see a conflict because we're both going the same direction on this. You know, we're still trying to decide whether we want the property or not. So it's not like there's a disagreement on the board's trying to keep it from us or we're vice versa. We're trying to take it, they're actually gonna wanna hand it off and see if we wanna do something there. So in this particular case, I don't see that.
And I agree with that, but I also saw this as an opportunity to raise this
Oh, I
concern.
think,
And it's a concern that I think needs to be talked about.
Yeah. Okay, we'll keep that in mind, but let's see where we go on this. So we're all set. Can I add this to the agenda on the 30th then? And we can discuss it? Now, I got a phone call, and this is other properties, and I'm gonna treat this an open session, because he called me out of the blue. I got a phone call from a Robert Porter last week. It's okay, I don't know him either, except he's a very nice gentleman. About a property he owns that he thought we might be interested in, and I'll send this out. It's on the, I'm not familiar with it, maybe Brendan you are. It's on Route 39 and Queen Anne Road.
Yeah.
There are like 4 lots. And he was looking for, my understanding is it now has, I think, 3 or 4 lots. He was looking for the a more detailed description of it. And so I'll try to, and Joel's offered to give me some help and and maybe Christine, you can as well, give some help on this. And I'll try to bring that back as well, see if there's anything. I don't know that much more about it. He was asked if we might be interested. He wasn't trying to press me to buy anything at this point, but he was referred to me by Mike Locke, who he contacted first.
That's great.
Nice.
And so, I'll put that in the packet to get what we can, and we'll send that out to you, see it might be something we might be interested in.
One other question under other properties.
Sure, please.
What's the status of our getting a copy of the lease with
Sisson.
for Sisson Road?
I think I forwarded you a copy of the lease on that. And you emailed, that's one on Sisson Road, you emailed back that you wanted a true copy rather than the,
No?
We just have, so in the book, we just have the first 2 pages. We don't have the complete.
the complete lease.
Yeah.
I need to follow up, because still don't have that.
I know when Joe mentioned it in his email that there is the PDF
Right,
version, but we don't have that PDF version.
okay.
He's saying, I think it was maybe misunderstood where he was thinking we wanted the ink original, but we
Right.
just wanted the actual PDF. We haven't seen
PDF.
it yet.
Okay.
I got that.
You did?
I sent out a PDF of
Yeah, it
part
was
of
the
that, but it
full-
wasn't complete, you're saying?
I thought it was
Well, the one
complete.
I saw was maybe 4 pages, something
That's
like
what
that.
this is, but I thought it was the whole thing. I assumed it was the whole PDF for the whole
No.
lease.
No, maybe we can ask Joe.
Yeah.
You're gonna be sorry you came, Joe.
What makes you think I'm not all right? No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, no, it is.
With regard to the Junior Theater lease, there were 2 documents that I was intending to circulate, and I thought I had. The first, and it may be the 4-pager, is what council responded back, and it was an answer of the question, what is the quickest way for the trust to get the lease coordinated between the 2 parties? And I apologize, I'm pointing in the audience because there's a representative
We have, yeah.
that can talk about the junior theater. So that was the document that council created. And then the second one is the multi-page lease that I believe was executed back in 2009. The town, we do not, in administration or accounting, which is typically where we would find original ink signed contracts, we have not found ever, in my 5 years here, and I did a search again tonight, we have photocopies of what was originally executed. I had suggested to the chair that you may want to reach out to the junior theater. They may have what was the practice back in the day of the original ink. Someone had to get the original, they may have it. Regardless, the multi-page document that has a time and date stamp in the upper right-hand corner that goes back to the date in February of 2009, strike the February part, when it was finally executed and sealed by notary, was received by the town. we, the town, and council consider that to be a true copy of the original. But there is no original that we've been able to find in the town's possession. The other party may have an original link.
Yeah,
In any event, there were two things I wanted to send. A document that you could rely upon immediately to execute, to get the lease fully between the two parties,
Right.
and the existing lease. While we're talking about it, council also said, you have the right, if you want, to negotiate directly with the lessor and create your own new lease if you wanted to. I was just trying to get you an expedited
right,
document.
okay.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
We didn't,
So we didn't get, some of us, maybe Julie, you got it, I didn't get it.
I have the 4-pager.
I have the 4-page, I
That's what we
forwarded that.
have. So we
Okay.
didn't get the PDF.
No, I didn't get that
date,
either.
time stamped one,
that's right.
Joe.
And I used the term true copy, and I meant valid
Like the
copy.
full copy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that would be perfect.
So we certainly do have that, and I can resend everything.
I thought I had forwarded that, but maybe not to everyone, but,
Can I ask Joe a question?
sure.
Joe, since you're here, insurance on that building, so if the town, how would that work if, let's say, someone got hurt on the property? Are we covered through the town because we're part of the town, based on your previous statement?
So no, not necessarily. You know, the question to council is, this property was conveyed, and all of the appurtenances and everything related to it was conveyed to the trust. That instrument is part of that. All of the liability would be assumed by the trust.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
So,
Sometimes I
having
understand that
not
answer.
seen the document, so I'm kind of speaking a little blind, so there's nothing in there in terms of their requirement to hold insurance and to maintain the building, or they're not required to insure themselves and anything that happens in that building?
I wouldn't be able to confirm that without reading the document.
Okay.
It is a fairly straightforward lease. I will look to my left because I know that there's someone in the audience that is more familiar with that document,
I'm gonna call on Mr. Dolan
having
next.
written it. But there would be protections in the short term. I believe the town, so administration, select board, et cetera, at our end, we currently have insurances. We haven't canceled those. And so we would not eliminate that until there's proof of insurance if necessary. So the town would still have coverage, but to Mr. Lowney's question, and council confirmed this, you get the property, you get the rights, you get the liability, you get the responsibility.
And what about maintenance?
Same. It doesn't mean that we couldn't assist, but that would be separate discussions apart from the lease. So, you know, what I talked to council about is there's obviously a lease that brings in some level of revenue. You're entitled to the revenue going forward. You can renegotiate the terms if the parties both agreed to it, but the trust owns everything, and that would go with all requirements and insurances and others. It doesn't mean then, and it goes back to the earlier comments, since you're a subsidiary, for lack of a better word, of the town, doesn't mean the town couldn't help you folks. We just wouldn't be a party with the junior theater anymore. We would still be part and parcel connected to you folks.
Go ahead, Claudia.
So what would be, if we see the lease and we decide the liability seems too great for us, and there's a level of discomfort with that, based on what we think should be in there that may or may not be in there, what would be the process for making that change and renegotiating? Because it sounds like, from what you said, it's mutually agreed upon. What if the other party says, you know what, we like it the way it is, and we say, well, that isn't comfortable, and it's too great a risk?
So let me put on the record, I'm not an attorney. I try not to talk like one. I told you that's the drawback of being a parliamentarian. According to council for the town right now, the document exists in its original form, but it's between the two parties. It would be in your best interest to reach out to the other party saying, everything about this lease has changed because we're different entities and for different purposes. You could entertain and see if the other party wishes to renegotiate. If that didn't pan out, I would say, come talk to administration, select board, and we'll see what we can do to help. I hope that answers the question. You have the right to the lease, you have the right to renegotiate, and it may not even be renegotiate, perhaps the right word is negotiate. You could create your own agreement as the property owner with the current tenant.
And we would rely on council for advice based on what we felt should be in there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the first mission is we need a copy of the original lease. Bob, do you have a copy of that by chance?
We were just consulting on that. I believe.
Excuse me, Bob, are you gonna have to use the microphone?
I got it all warmed up for you.
Bob Doan in Harwich. We certainly have a copy of the original lease. I'm not sure if it's the inked copy or not, so I will check on that
Would you please? Yeah.
to see what we do have. I mean, I have seen the copy with the signatures on it, so I know it's somewhere. I think it's probably the same one you have
Okay.
on that. Just to say, officially, I'm not represented the Harwich Junior Theater. I haven't been appointed. I just have the history of the backstory of that negotiation.
Well, any information you could find for us,
Yeah.
that'd be the start.
Absolutely.
We could review that document and see where we go. That'd be very helpful.
Yeah, be happy to.
Thank you,
Okay,
Bob.
thanks.
Bob, anything else on that?
No, but thank you.
If,
Brendan?
yeah, I think it's something we make a priority. You know, I've been thinking about this for a while, and I think it's important that we make sure that it's insured properly to the trust. I think
Well-
that any way we
well-
can get that going in some capacity.
Okay. I'll work, we'll get back and I'll try to follow up as well when we keep this going.
And then potentially maybe put on the agenda next time for a discussion, whether or not we should be landlords. So,
Yeah.
you know, whether we lease it to the town and they lease it to Junior Theater or something to that effect. But we probably shouldn't be an active landlord, so.
Okay. I'll look towards the, not to July 30th, but we have our normal meeting in June 30th, and so maybe, or in June, or excuse me, August. Maybe we can try that.
Right.
Okay? We've gone through the agenda then. Other items that we need to, Christine?
Just really quickly, on July 30th, Karen Sonnenberg, who is working through the local comprehensive plan with
Yeah.
Ty and Bond, is doing a presentation with, in conjunction with the select board. We'll also invite the planning board as well, and members of the public. So it is on Tuesday, July 30th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the multipurpose room in the community center. And all of you are invited, as well as any members of the public.
Perfect. So we can have our 5 o'clock meeting and then go to that.
Thank you.
Christine, while you're up there, let me thank you for all your help to our trust committee
My pleasure.
and staying after to attend our meetings. It's appreciated. Any other topics? We've gone through the agenda,
What was the last thing? Just the,
just the other properties,
review the action.
and review the action plan. I don't have anything specific on the action plan.
I'd like to just do a big thank you to Larry, because an action plan is great and everything, but Larry's really been spending countless hours putting this all together. So to me, Larry is the action plan. So I'd like to thank him. I've been here
That's
for
accurate.
5 years plus, and what he's accomplished as chair is amazing. So thank you, Larry.
Well, thank you. No one will accuse me of being active, but there you go. All right then, accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second? All in favor, this is always an easy
Aye.
one.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.